Hello and welcome to this Confluence special webisode. My name is Amandeep. I'm a senior analyst at Confluence Consultants, and I'm joined today by the founder of Confluence Consultants, Shraddha Bhandari. How are you today?
I'm very good, Amandeep. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. So for the past couple of weeks, this has been in the UAE. It's been, a time for conferences, for networking, for conversations with industry experts, with policymakers, and everybody seems to be saying the one thing that everything is converging in the UAE, and especially in relation to artificial intelligence, which is the big buzzword that we're hearing all the time. That everything is going to grow in the UAE. So today we're going to be talking about whether or not the AI buck stops in the UAE. So Shraddha, your expertise in geopolitics, in where the UAE stands, in terms of the growth of AI in the UAE and opportunities for AI in the UAE, why do you think all of this is coming into this region in general, but also in the UAE in particular?
Thank you, Amandeep. We follow geopolitical trends very, very closely. And the competition on what is known as futuristic technology is heating up between the two superpowers, right? So just to build an entire map of how technologies are emerging, innovation is largely still happening either in or at the behest of the Americans and the Chinese. Americans more in terms of privately led around the Silicon Valley. In China, more state led, sort of contrived according to what the state security needs are. But between these two innovators, there's an entire East, as you call it, that's coming up with investable capital, scalable markets, quickly adapting the innovations to use cases. And India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar are all converging into something that we called a West to East movement in terms of technological adoption and growth. Right, UAE specifically because we're going to be covering this when we cover the Babson framework, but UAE also has over the years built a geopolitical neutrality, right? So it can take investments from the US, it can support consumer goods from China. It has the large number of Chinese electric vehicles, Huawei operates, and then it's got investments from Microsoft, etc., and all very seamlessly going together. It was also one of the very few countries that quickly adapted to the policy regulations for AI. So I think personally that the buck is stopping in the UAE, and it's very exciting times ahead for AI. Of course, given the challenges of the global context and the need to, indigenous or localized innovation, as they call it.
Thank you, Shraddha. So you've mentioned the Babson framework, and you've also covered a little bit of investable capital that is prevalent in the UAE. The policy supports the growth of AI in the UAE. So just for our viewers, the Babson framework is essentially a blueprint for success for an industry and for the industry to basically prosper. So within the Babson framework, we've got 5 pillars. The first is policy, which, as Shraddha mentioned, is quite supportive in the UAE. So anything that the government does to support the growth of an industry. We've got finance, which is the availability of investable capital in the region. We have culture, which is setting the narrative for an industry to prosper. So anything that allows success stories to come out of the region. Then we've got human capital, which is, of course, the presence of talent for the technology to grow. And then finally, we've got support, the non-financial aspect of it. So thinking incubators, accelerators. So Shraddha, how do you think all of this, or how the UAE adapts all of these to ensure that the industry can grow and prosper?
So, Avanti, I'll be really quick because this is a subject very close to my heart. So I can write an entire PhD on this. How nice it will be, I don't know. But, I got excited about AI in the UAE with the national AI strategy. And when I came to know that UAE was the first country that basically appointed the AI minister. So I was hearing His Excellency, the state minister for AI in one of the conferences. And he said in 2017, when he used to attend AI conferences, he was the only one on board because UAE was the only country that had an AI minister. So the government adoption has been very quick. If you read the national AI strategy, very crisp document, very well written. It highlights an entire ecosystem of not only the priority sectors. They draw from some of the priority sectors of the UAE, including tourism, digital economy, real estate, futuristic technologies, etc. but it also builds a framework of how R&D is going to happen, how are they going to attract talent. They've looked at models across the world to see how international collaborations can happen. So that's very exciting. There is a council within the cabinet that looks at artificial intelligence. There is the Advanced Research Technology Council in the UAE that's responsible for some very, very interesting research that's happening. And now, as we know, that most of the government departments, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, have been mandated to come up with an AI strategy by the 2030s and beyond. So that's an exciting opportunity. Moving on to funding, I think investable capital is something that comes up all the time within the region. So as per some stats, by 2024, there's 600 million that's been invested in startups, 500 million that's been invested in R&D. UAE ranks first in the region in terms of receiving FDI targeted about towards AI, and that's about 60% of AI FDI that is in the UAE. Then, of course, you have sovereigns that have huge stakes in the AI. Mubadala in G42 just launched 100 billion, I mean, even billion, million, the zeros are mind-boggling. 100 billion fund for promoting investments in AI. And it's not just restricted to AI, it's AI in a number of other futuristic technologies, how they combine, how they collaborate. So also a lot of coming from venture capital funds. So there's private capital in the DIC, ADGM that's also geared towards AI and futuristic technology. Then you mentioned culture, and I think that's very important because I think one of the leading companies for AI in the region is G42, which is a holding company of 8 very cutting edge AI companies. I mean, they're not just AI anymore, but we recently did a post on how Bayanath has merged with Yasat to form the Space 42, right? And they're sitting within the UAE Space Agency to use AI for very cutting edge space research. You've got other health 42 companies. You've got basically a big data analytics pre-site. So a lot is happening. A culture is already being created. So is the infrastructure. So you have Kazan, which is a local data center operator, but you've got global data centers wanting to come to the UAE. So we've got Equinix, etc. And then, of course, human capital. There are some stats which say that the AI workers in the UAE have quadrupled to about 120,000 from 21 to 23. And then there are courses, the National Program for Artificial Intelligences that are creating that talent that's required. That, however, still remains one of the challenges that we'll sort of discuss later. But a very interesting ecosystem is being created. Of course, you're not trying to match them up with the likes of America, etc. But so much investment is coming from companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, Cerebras, with which UAE is forming its first of its kind 9 interconnected supercomputers. The infrastructure of supercomputers is very, very important for AI going forward. And very interestingly, also, you've got some private players coming up, right? So you've got the Moro Hub, which is Dubai Electricity and Water Authorities, a very interesting cloud player. And then you've got private companies like Omdena, Yanzo, Daffodil, which have been doing quite well as well. So that's all on the entire ecosystem facilitating side, and we can get into the aspects as we go forward.
So, you mentioned that you're excited about the national AI strategy, and funnily enough, last week I was at a conference and I met some others, private and public players, who were equally excited about the strategy. And it seems that that culture is also being created outside of G42 when the entire kind of population of the country is behind the UAE and becoming a force to be reckoned with globally in terms of AI. So that's very positive news for everyone involved. Now, opportunities, we all know that the UAE has loads of them. And you mentioned that governments are being mandated. So let's talk about some of the more specific opportunities and also the challenges that come with it, because today, as we record this, it's election eve day. So, the US is going to be voting tomorrow. And I was just saying to one of my friends as well that I personally feel quite nervous about the outcome because we don't know how things are going to pan out for the region. And this could impact everything from technology to the geopolitical status of the country. So let's talk about these, very concrete opportunities and how these can be impacted by external factors and what sort of challenges we can expect.
Super. I mean, like right up our interest area. So when I talk to startups, investors, etc., I think one of the things that everybody has to be mindful about is the UAE is a very small market in itself, right? So the main buyer of services, so as to put it, is the government, right? And then there's a lot of thrust positively on the AI. So that's definitely an opportunity, from requiring a strategy, a AI strategy to be created for each of the organizations in Dubai and Abu Dhabi specifically. I mean, Dubai, as you know, is now mandated to have an AI CEO. All public entities need to have an AI CEO. So for that strategy, you need experts, you need consultants, you need policy analysts, and then identifying very specific requirements will need very cutting edge startups to match those opportunities. I'll give you a simple example. There are things happening to make the UAE's entire emergency system management system better, right? So how is data collected? How would you anticipate a hurricane, the kind of the rainfall that came in Dubai and UAE in April? How do you manage the sanitation systems? All of that is going to be increasingly AI led, and all of these are very cutting edge solutions with startups from around the world and companies from around the world can definitely fill up. The second one, of course, the startups are coming here for two aspects: the capital. Everybody needs funding to grow, and the networks and the kind of access that the UAE is providing at the moment. Right, so that's the second opportunity, and the third, as I tell everyone, is when you're in the UAE, think of building in the UAE for a larger region and a larger corridor, which extends all the way to India. So, for example, there's a lot of collaboration happening between Indian startups and the UAE space ecosystem. And that's an opportunity always. And a kind of collaborative approach would help in this aspect. But it also then, feeds into the challenges, because if the growth is both external and internal, then external factors will end up impacting. We've covered this in a lot of our posts for LinkedIn. The tech rivalry between the US and China is now a matter of fact. It's no longer if, when, but it's there, it's in concrete, it's covering everything from AI to blockchain to space to EVs to minerals. And I think UAE till now has been able to facilitate investments from around the world. Increasingly, I guess sides will have to be taken. So if US is investing, I mean, there was some news a couple of months back that Microsoft had come under the scanner of the congressional US Congress, saying that you're investing in the UAE, which can easily then pass on semiconductor chips to China. Yeah. I think all of that is happening, but UAE seems to be managing it well, because now there are talks of chip manufacturing and all of that, and also UAE I think scores in terms of energy, because these are all data centers, chip industries are all very, very data intensive. So we have to keep a very close look at the sanctions, at the tit for tat escalations, etc. The second one, geopolitical, of course, that's in everybody's mind, is will the conflict in the region escalate? So far, the GCC countries have managed it pretty well. Back channel diplomacy, trying to mediate between Iran and Israel. So let's see what that happens. Might change with elections, like you said. The third one, of course, is building an innovative culture. So it's great that that a lot of American companies are investing, and a lot of sovereigns also have taken stakes in some of the cutting edge AI companies in the US, and there's an aspect of localization. So that is something I think will pan out in the next couple of years. There are a lot of localization opportunities that are coming up. And I guess the last one will always be, how do you solve for the market, especially as GCC rivalries and AI erupt, right? So, for example, if an American company is partnering with the Qatar Sovereign Wealth Fund, then they would require localization in Qatar. Yeah. Saudi, for example, is doing something with NVIDIA. UAE is doing something with OpenAI. Qatar is doing something with the likes of this. So how will they manage both localization and some sort of collaboration of the region that can help AI to grow in the region, rather than forming isolated islands, so as to say? That's, I think, going to be a particular challenge in the coming years as well. So I guess geopolitics, talent, innovation, and how do you localize, and the GCC rivalry, to me, are the top-notch challenges.
Great. So just to add on to your points as well, you mentioned that increasingly sides will have to be taken, and it seems like that's already started. So with the fact that TSMC and Samsung are setting up operations in the UAE, means that these are both companies from US allies, and if they're both setting up shop in the UAE, it means that definitely that sort of realignment is being considered. And also, you mentioned GCC rivalries at the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh last week. We've seen reports emerging of Abu Dhabi funds and Riyadh funds both competing for investment. And so that is also already spurring on some kind of rivalry.
And as long as it's healthy competition, it's
Yeah,
great for the region. I
yeah,
really hope it doesn't become anything else.
yeah. Well,
There's enough in the pie for everyone.
yeah. Great. So for companies in futuristic tech industries looking to transition into the UAE market, looking to understand what the UAE or the GCC is all about, you can always get in touch with us to understand or for us to provide a specific segment deep dive. We can provide a personalized strategy to understand each of the areas of operation, how regulation works in the UAE, or we can just have a chat with you to let you know that everything is going to be successful here.
And understand what kind of amazing technologies are happening in the world. That's the best part about our work, I
Yeah.
think. Meeting these amazing startups, amazing companies that are solving such futuristic problems. When I talk to them, I forget about the polarized geopolitics in the world, very honestly.
I
I
wish we
feel
could all
hopeful.
forget about it. I wish technology could just forget about it, and then everybody could, in the words of Mean Girls, I wish we could all just eat some cake and be happy.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Shraddha, for your time. And thank you to the viewers. And as ever, if you would like to get in touch with us, if you would like to leave us any comments or any constructive feedback, you can always get in touch with us on LinkedIn at Confluence Consultants. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.